Hi everyone, and welcome to my channel. This channel is dedicated to news and gossip about celebrities worldwide. Remember to like and subscribe. An era is coming to an end. Little people, big world has its worst problem ever as a result of Zach and Tori Roloff's formal departure. The central family has left. The story of succession is over. The future of the show that began it all is in grave danger for the first time in almost 20 years. One question is being asked by fans. Is this the end? TLC has a strategy. And it's the most surprising, contentious, and potentially explosive strategy that can be thought of. We've learned about this from a source with extensive knowledge of the production firm, who has previously revealed a number of high-stakes, covert talks that have been taking place behind the scenes for weeks. TLC is determined to keep their flagship program alive. They have returned to the prodigal son, the other son. Jeremy and Audrey Roloff have received a huge offer from TLC to return to Little People, Big World. However, it goes beyond a paycheck. According to reports, Audrey and Jeremy returned with a list of demands. One request. Specifically, it will not only preserve the show but also permanently alter the Roloff family, the FA, and the estate. You know what to do before we divulge the specifics of this covert offer and Jeremy's astounding counter-demand. To let the YouTube algorithm know that we are covering the most important story in the LPBW world at the moment, hit the like button if you want to see this program continue or if you're only interested in the drama. Additionally, if you haven't already, click the subscribe button to enable alerts for LPBW revision. No one else is going to provide you this kind of intimate knowledge. We are dedicated to sharing with you the tales that take on behind the scenes. I appreciate your help. Let's now explore the covert strategy to keep the exhibition going. We must comprehend the gravity of TLC's predicament in order to comprehend why they are so desperate. Let's examine the information. Tori and Zach have left. This eliminates the most likable young couple, the primary plot, and the grandkids with dwarfism. The absence of Molly hasn't been a part of the program for years. Jacob is openly against the show. Amy is still there, but the secondary arc of her story is now centered on her relationship with Chris. The only remaining original plotline involves Matt and Karen, but a significant portion of the audience has grown disenchanted with the story and holds them responsible for the family's disintegration. A series that just focuses on Amy cooking and Matt and Karen building a house is not viable. TLC is aware of this. Their multi-billion-dollar business is barely surviving. They required a miracle. They required a plot with a past, a present, and a future. Another Roloff son was needed. Here come Audrey and Jeremy. They have established a huge personal brand since departing the show in 2018. They have millions of social media followers, best-selling books, and well-liked podcasts. Indeed, they are contentious, but their success cannot be denied. They don't require care. As a result, they had complete control over negotiations. TLC made an outrageous initial offer. We are discussing a multi-year agreement, worth well into the 7 figures, making them the show's new main couple. They would have been among the highest-paid reality TV celebrities. Audrey and Jeremy declined. They rejected it. Why? Because they didn't care about the money. The legacy was at issue. The goal was to make amends for the past. Following his rejection of the first offer, Jeremy sent a follow-up proposal to TLC and, more significantly, to his father, Matt. A list of demands was included in this proposal. For example, hiring a producer, credit, greater creative control over the editing of their works, and assurances of business promotion. However, there was one unavoidable, revolutionary demand at the top of that list that would completely alter everything. Yes, exactly. According to reports, Jeremy and Audrey informed Matt and TLC that they would only return to the show if they met a specific need. That Matt fulfills his promise and gives them a sizable controlling stake in Roloff Farms. Not a little piece of land. Not the rental house. They desire the barns, the pumpkin patch, the company itself, and the center of the farm. It's more than just a request. This power play is colossal in scope. In order to obtain the one thing that he and his brother have always desired, Jeremy is using the possibility of the program being cancelled as leverage. Consider the genius of this move. You can give me the keys to the kingdom, save the show, and let me carry the Roloff name forward, or you can let your legacy die on television and the farm crumble. It resolves the issues of everyone. The prodigal son's return is a fantasy plot point for TLC. It develops a whole new storyline. The takeover of the farm by Jeremy and Audrey, their conflicts, and their vision in contrast to Matt's. For Matt, it offers years of fresh material. He is the one who wins. He always said he wanted the farm, and now he gets to sell it to his family. He gets to resemble the giving parent. He receives a huge salary. And the show that brought him fame is still going strong. Audrey and Jeremy receive what they've always. The farm was wanted. And while doing so, they have authority over their own narrative. The entire franchise is rekindled by this one demand, but it also brings up a new wave of unthinkable turmoil. What are Tori and Zach going to think? The brother who departed was given their dream. How about Amy? How will she feel about the new matriarch of the farm she helped develop being Audrey rather than Tori? Did Matt say yes? That is the most important question of all. We know the secret and the shocking facts of Matt's response to this demand. Meeting that was held at the property just last week. We revealed the TLC secret problem after Zach and Tori left in part 1. We exposed the network's last-ditch effort to restore Little People, Big World by resurrecting Jeremy Roloff and Audrey, its original prodigal son. However, they returned with a startling demand that could not be negotiated. Matt has to consent to selling them a majority stake in Roloff Farms. This power move has the potential to either preserve the franchise or destroy the family forever. The most important question of all was where we left off. What was said by Matt? Everything you believe to be true about this family's destiny will be altered by the response. Thus, Audrey and Jeremy give their directive. The show at the property. One individual, Matt Roloff, caught everyone's attention. He's had all the cards for years. He has served as the guardian of the family's heritage. Every significant choice he has made has been motivated by his business acumen and his ego. What would he do if he knew that his celebrity on television would end? As opposed to giving his son command of his empire? Amazing facts regarding what transpired next have been provided to us by our insider at the production business. They said that Matt was angry at first. He felt trapped and viewed Jeremy's demand as a hostage situation. As he had done with Zach, his immediate reaction was to say no. However, things were different this time. The son's request for his birthright wasn't the only one. He was gently persuaded by TLC, a multi-million-dollar television network. TLC. Matt and Karen participated in a private video call with executives. They presented the sobering truth. It was quite improbable that the show would be renewed without a fresh, interesting plot. The journey was over. 4. Roloff. Matt. The man who adores construction, projects, and the platform the program has provided him with. It was worse than selling to think that everything might just stop. Thus, last week a meeting was called. Matt and Karen reportedly met Jeremy and Audrey at the large farmhouse. The TLC cameras were absent. This negotiation took place before to production. Everything was discussed at the stressful 4-hour discussion. Jeremy and Audrey restated their goal of respecting the farm's history while updating it for the present. They discussed adding more attractions, remodeling the wedding location, and extending the pumpkin season. A business strategy was given by them. This was more than a sentimental appeal. The pitch was done professionally. In response, Matt outlined his own conditions. He refused to sell the farm as a whole. He would keep a tiny package for his and Karen's ideal house, and he would continue to work as a consultant for 5 years while receiving compensation. He desired payment for observing his son manage his former company. They came to an arrangement after hours of heated back and forth. In principle, Matt Roloff has consented to sell Jeremy and Audrey Roloff the operating majority of Roloff Farms. A new multi-season contract with TLC must be signed in order for the agreement to go through. This is the return of the prodigal son. Since Matt, this has been the most significant incident in the history of the show. And the divorce of Amy. The program has been preserved. The family will continue to own the farm. It appears to be a pleasant conclusion. However, the Roloff family is this one. Furthermore, a joyful conclusion for one person frequently marks the start of a nightmare for another. The repercussions from this agreement is already starting, and the ink hasn't even dried yet. How were the other members of the family informed? Not from Matt. It was a lower-level production worker who felt entitled to tell Zach and Tori about the arrangement. They were caught completely off guard. Consider their suffering. The brother who voluntarily left years ago was now given the very dream that was denied to them, the one that caused them to leave the show with a strained relationship with their father. This is the ultimate betrayal in Zach's opinion. It validates his worst apprehension that his father never considered his readiness or the fairness of his offer while making decisions. It was all about Matt getting what he wanted, when he wanted it. Zach never had the power that Jeremy did because of his fame and connections. Any semblance of a bond between Zach and his father will surely be severed by this. What about Amy? In the expectation that it would be retained for all of her children, Amy sold Matt her portion of the property for less money. Under the haze of television contracts and commercial talks, it has now been passed to one son. In addition, she must now accept Audrey Roloff as the new matriarch of her old house. Amy and Audrey's relationship has always been complicated and tense. Now, since Audrey is in charge of the farm, they will have to communicate on a completely different level. The new matriarch will be rated gold for TLC, and this creates the conditions for a cold war between them. Though it came at a great cost, this choice has preserved Little People, Big World. It has both rewarded Jeremy's absence and validated Zach's suffering. It has created new lines of conflict within the family, putting mother-in-law against daughter-in-law and brother against brother. The civil conflict within the Roloff family has not ended. A brand new chapter has just started. The family we once knew is permanently gone, but the spectacle will continue. Prepare yourself for the upcoming Little People, Big World. Well, a show about treachery, legacy, and the contentious comeback of a Prodal son. More than ever, it will be dramatic, polarizing, and captivating. We appreciate you joining us for this special LPBW update report. As we speak, the documentation are being prepared, and you can be certain that we will be present to discuss each and every development. To ensure you don't miss anything, subscribe. Jackson Roloff has won our hearts more than anyone else in the Little People, Big World universe. 4 years, his contagious smile, courageous nature, and limitless enthusiasm have been the show's bright spot. He is the future, the son who became the parents of Zach and Tori, and the grandson who made Matt and Amy grandparents. We have a very sad and worrisome report for you tonight. We are getting reports through a variety of sources. Includes a social media post that has since been removed stating that Jackson Roloff had a terrible accident and was taken to a Washington hospital for emergency surgery a few hours ago. This process isn't intended. The Roloff family is in a state of terror and fear as a result of this unexpected and horrifying incident. Everything we currently know will be shared. I want you to do something new today before we go into the specifics of what we think happened. Algorithms are not the only issue here. It's about demonstrating assistance. Please take a moment to leave a prayer for Jackson in the comments section below and click the like button. Let's send their family the prayers and good vibes they so sorely need at this time. Additionally, please ring the bell and subscribe to the LPBW update if you would like to be informed about his condition. We'll be keeping an eye on this situation throughout day and will notify you as soon as there are any updates. Thank you. Let's now reconstruct what transpired. In order to comprehend how serious this issue is, we have to commemorate Jackson's medical experience. He faces this road with extraordinary fortitude. Jackson was born with chondroplasia, the same kind of dwarfism that his father, Zach, had, as many of you are aware. His legs bowed significantly as a result of this ailment, which is a frequent and uncomfortable problem. To fix this bending, Jackson had a highly invasive surgery in late 2021 when he was only 4 years old. As he developed, doctors put screws and plates in his legs to help straighten them. Although the operation went well, the recuperation was drawn out and difficult. We all observed as Zach and Tori helped him with physical therapy and carefully managed his pain. Any parent in this circumstance is constantly afraid of getting hurt again. The concern that the doctor's delicate job could be jeopardized by a single misstep or fall. This worst situation seems to have materialized. We have two sources of information. The first source is an acquaintance of a Washington State hospital staff. Second, and more specifically, a post on social media that was made on a close Tori's private Instagram story friend was removed in a matter of minutes. However, it was visible to us and a few other supporters. The post featured a straightforward image of a hospital chapel. Please pray for our sweet Jay. A bad fall playing. It's serious. They are so scared, was the text that appeared over it. For a parent, hearing this is the most commonplace and horrifying thing. Jackson was in his backyard playing soccer. It's one of his favorite activities. According to reports, he fell hard, twisted, and he was unable to place weight on his leg and began screaming in agony right away. Given his medical background, Zach and Tori realized this was not your average childhood mishap. He was hurried to the closest emergency department. We've been informed that the first X-rays revealed a parent's greatest dread. He reportedly suffered a fracture at the location of one of his leg's surgical plates as a result of the accident. Even worse, the plate itself might have been twisted or displaced by the impact. This is referred to as a hardware issue, and it's a serious medical crisis. You can't just leave a bent plate alone. It can interfere with bone formation, harm nerves, and alter blood flow. They couldn't wait in this case. According to reports, the physicians informed Zach and Tori, who were upset, that Jackson needed to have surgery right away in order to evaluate the damage and, if required, undergo a revision, which entails taking out the existing hardware and replacing it. Just think about the fear. Your son is playing and laughing in the yard one moment. The following you are giving your child to surgeons and signing consent paperwork for an urgent procedure without fully understanding the extent of the interior damage. The Roloffs are currently dealing with this reality. The source information and the removed post together create a horrifying image of a typical afternoon that descended into a disaster. According to reports, Jackson was brought into the operating room at the time of this tape. Every parent's worst nightmare is being lived by Zach and Tori in the waiting area. We informed Jackson Roloff of the tragic news that was taken to the medical room after suffering a severe fall in his lawn. According to reports, the accident resulted in a hazardous hardware complication, a fracture at the location of his prior leg straightening surgery. While their son was in the operating room, a frightened Zach and Tori were waiting at the hospital when we left off. We now have an update on the procedure and a glimpse of Jackson and the Roloff family's extremely challenging future. Although the Roloffs have understandably stayed quiet on their primary social media platforms, our sources have shared some preliminary details regarding the surgery's results. There is conflicting news. The good news is that Jackson is reportedly out and recovering from the surgery, for which we are grateful. The immediate threat was successfully addressed by the surgeons. But the devastation seemed to be as great as anticipated. The primary surgical plate in his leg was indeed bent by the fall, resulting in what is known as a parathetic fracture, a bone break adjacent to an implant. This injury is complicated. A complete revision has to be carried out by the surgical team. This indicates that a new, more robust internal fixation system was used in place of the broken plate and screws. In actuality, this is a total remake of his initial big surgery. For Jackson, what does this mean? It indicates a reset of the clock. He is basically starting over on his road to recovery, but it might be more difficult this time. Now that he is older and more mature, he must leave through the excruciating recovery procedure once more. In order to regain strength and mobility, we're talking about weeks or months in a cast, followed by a switch to a brace and endless hours of exhausting physical therapy. It will be a huge psychological battle for a child to unlearn to trust his body so that he can run and play fearlessly. This also offers a fresh perspective on his future medical care. With his actions, doctors will need to use even greater caution. The bone was. It will be a vulnerability for years to come to have been operated on twice in the same place. We also need to discuss Zach and Tori's emotional toll. It's traumatic enough to witness your child undergo major surgery once. It's a special and draining type of agony to have to do it again in an emergency. All of the previous worries and fears suddenly return. The restless nights, the ongoing concern, the close observation of his suffering. They must relive everything. This will be a significant test of their ability to, as a family and as a couple. Once more, their lives will be centered around therapy sessions, hospital visits, and the meticulous process of their son's physical and mental recovery. Additionally, they will be providing care for Leia and Josiah, who each have unique demands and possible aeroplasia-related health issues. For the majority of us, this wait is nearly unthinkable. As this update comes to an end, it's critical that we change our focus from covering the news to what actually. The welfare of a young child and his family is important. The most trying time in Jackson's early life will be the upcoming months. No child should have to muster the courage and tenacity he will require. He'll rely on his parents, Zach and Tori, as well as the whole Roloff family, for their amazing love and support. And this is our role as the community that has witnessed his development. This isn't a TV show story anymore. It has nothing to do with who owns the property or family conflict. It's a genuine. A family that we have all grown to care about is going through a life crisis. Regardless of how you feel about the show, compassion is needed right now. The time for assistance is now. Please remember Jackson in your prayers and thoughts. Send Josiah, Leia, Zach, and Tori good vibes. If they decide to tell their tale in public over the next few days, let's make sure the responses they receive are positive, supportive, and loving rather than speculative or depressing. Our hearts at LPBW Update are with the Roloffs. We will continue to politely keep an eye on the situation and will only give more information when it becomes suitable. Our only message at this time is to wish the bravest child we know a complete and quick recovery. Jackson, get better soon. We're all cheering you on.